There is a truth that is rarely spoken aloud. A man's deepest desire isn't sparked by a perfect body or a clever plan. No, it's not about tight dresses or witty text replies. Mature, grounded men, men who've lived, loved, and lost, don't fall for images. They're drawn to energy. They desire presence, and not just any presence, but the kind that radiates calm self-worth. A woman who doesn't need to be chosen because she's already chosen herself. Desire, real desire, is not about chasing, it's about becoming. Before we go any further, pause for a second. If you're already feeling this, tap that like button and hit subscribe. Trust me, the rest of this journey only gets richer. You don't attract a powerful, emotionally rich man by needing him. You attract him by becoming a woman of purpose, faith, and emotional control. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, said, "You become what you think about." The same is true in love. The more you think from fullness, the more you draw in a man who doesn't need to rescue you, he wants to rise with you. Picture this, you walk into a room, not loud, not flashy, but every head turns because you walk like you already belong. You speak like you're not trying to convince, just to connect. That's magnetic. That's what makes a man pause and think, who is she? Because the goal here isn't to seduce, it's to inspire devotion, to invite him into your energy, not hook him with your effort. What you're about to learn isn't a game, it's a strategy of inner alignment. So here's your first fun challenge. Write this in the comments. I am the flame. Say it to yourself, to the universe, to that version of you that doesn't chase but attracts. Because the world needs more women who don't beg to be seen but shine anyway. Ready to discover the exact traits that make a man lean in, step up, and stay? You're about to meet the first secret. Let's begin. Number 1. Mastering the first principle, burning desire. Let's get one thing straight. A man doesn't fall in love with confusion. He doesn't feel drawn to chaos, desperation, or scattered energy. He's drawn, magnetized by clarity, by a woman who burns, not for him, but from within. That's what Napoleon Hill called a burning desire, not the desperate kind, but the kind rooted in purpose, focus, and unshakable self-belief. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill wrote, "The starting point of all achievement is desire." Now let's translate that into love. The starting point of all attraction is desire, not desire for him, but desire to become the woman you're here to be. That kind of fire changes the room you walk into. It pulls emotionally intelligent men toward you, not because you need them, but because your presence says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm not here to chase, I'm here to choose.
Here's what might be spinning in your mind right now. Okay, but what if I do want love? Isn't that desire for him? Great question. Here's the answer. Of course, you want love. That's human. But if your desire is centered on being chosen rather than becoming, it turns into grasping. And grasping energy repels. It's like putting perfume on fear. Real attraction begins when your desire is for who you become in the process, not what you can get from him.
Let's look at an example. Two women walk into a cafe. One is scanning the room, adjusting herself constantly, hoping someone notices her. The other walks in, orders her coffee, reads her book, and smiles when the barista calls her name. She's not performing, she's present. Which one do you think turns heads without trying? That's burning desire, not outward, but inward. Napoleon Hill also said, there is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Let's break that down simply. If you don't know who you are or what kind of relationship you want, how can he know what to offer you? You can't be magnetic if you're shape-shifting for every man who looks your way. But when you walk into a situation with calm clarity, when your energy says, "This is what I value, this is how I live, and this is the kind of connection I hold space for," you invite the kind of man who's done shifting too. A man who's ready to meet a woman, not manage a puzzle. Now let's get playful for a second. Imagine your inner fire is a lighthouse. It's not screaming or chasing the ships. It just stands there glowing, confident that the right ship will come toward its light. Your job is to keep your light on, not to go swimming after every boat that passes.
So here's your real task. Don't just think about what you want in him. Write down what you want to embody in yourself. Strength, warmth, peace, vision. Write it like this. I choose to radiate calm. I lead with grace. I trust my voice. These are not decorations. These are the ingredients of a woman who attracts what she no longer needs to beg for.
Because here's the truth. Men may chase beauty, but they stay for purpose. When a man senses that your life has rhythm, fire, and meaning with or without him, he doesn't feel like a requirement. He feels like a witness. And that, my friend, is what makes him lean in. So take this moment. Write 3 words in your notes that describe the energy you want to live from this week. Not the fantasy you want from a man, but the flame you want to feed in yourself. Because the right man doesn't want to be your rescue mission. He wants to stand beside a woman who's already on her mission. And guess what? In the next section, we're going even deeper. We're going to uncover the silent superpower that makes your belief visible, the invisible force that turns your fire into certainty. It's the one thing that separates wishful energy from magnetic energy. You're not ready for him yet, not until you're solid in this. Let's go light it up. Number 2, faith, the invisible force that creates certainty. Let's talk about the invisible magic behind all real attraction. The kind you don't see but feel, the kind that doesn't scream but lingers. Napoleon Hill called it faith, and not in some vague spiritual way, but in a powerful, focused sense. He said, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind." Translation: your belief system is your inner laboratory, and what you believe about yourself gets turned into the emotional energy you send out into the world. People feel it before you ever say a word. And when it comes to desire, especially the kind that reaches deep into the heart of an emotionally available man, faith in yourself is everything. You don't need to advertise it. You don't need to declare your value out loud, because when you believe in your worth, he begins to feel it without you needing to convince him. Your certainty becomes a quiet, magnetic invitation. You stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start embodying, "I already am." Now let me guess. There's a tiny voice inside asking, "But what if I don't feel that way yet? What if I'm still figuring it out?" Perfect. That's why we're here. Faith isn't about having no doubt. It's about choosing belief even when your mind whispers otherwise. Hill described faith as a state of mind that may be induced by affirmation and repeated instruction to the subconscious. In simple terms, you become confident by practicing confidence. And here's a real-life example. Think of someone who walks into a room with no need to prove anything. They don't have the flashiest clothes or loudest voice, but you feel their presence. That's faith in motion. It's quiet, grounded, and deeply attractive. The same applies to relationships. The woman who says with her eyes, her posture, and her stillness, "I know what I bring," becomes unforgettable, not because she's perfect, but because she's anchored. Now flip the scene. Think of a time when you tried too hard to impress someone. You were overthinking your words, doubting your every move. How did that feel in your body? Tight, anxious, draining. That's the absence of faith, and it pushes people away because it sends the message, "Please give me something I can't find in myself." But when you shift into belief, everything changes. Your words soften, your energy expands. You don't rush to fill silence, you let it speak for you. You trust that if he sees you, great. And if not, that's okay too, because you're already chosen by you. So here's your next task. Start practicing belief out loud, not just in your journal or in your head. Speak it into existence. Stand in front of the mirror and say, I know who I am. I trust what I bring. And when you speak to him, whether it's a text, a look, or a sentence, let that same belief be the undercurrent. Don't tell him what you're worth. Radiate it. Because faith is contagious. A woman who trusts herself gives a man permission to trust her. And when he senses that you don't need his validation to feel valuable, he starts leaning in, not to fix you, but to join you. That's power. And just wait, because in the next section, we're getting into the actual language that turns belief into connection. The art of speaking in a way that touches his identity, not just his ears. Get ready, because next, we unlock the subtle magic of words that stick to his soul. Number 3, auto-suggestion, how your words shape his identity. Now that you've ignited your inner fire with desire and backed it with unshakable belief, it's time to take that energy and speak it into the world, specifically into the heart of the man you're connecting with. Welcome to the power of auto-suggestion. Napoleon Hill called it the medium by which any person may feed the subconscious with thoughts of a creative nature. In plain English, what you say, repeatedly and with emotion, rewires identity. Not just yours, but his too. The mind responds to repetition and suggestion. So does the heart. In fact, the heart often responds even faster because it skips logic and hears feeling. That's why the right words, spoken with calm confidence, have the power to shape how a man sees himself when he's around you. And here's the best part. You're not manipulating, you're revealing. You're holding up a mirror and saying, "This is what I see in you." And when a man feels seen, he starts showing up as the version of himself you just reflected. Think about it. When someone once said, "Dee, you always make me feel safe," didn't that part of you light up and want to keep doing it? That's auto-suggestion at work. You didn't change. You were reminded of who you already were. This is where our concept of mental nicknames comes in, specific, true observations that speak directly to a man's identity in a way he rarely hears. They're short, they're powerful, and they're felt more than they're understood. For example, imagine you're sitting across from him after he's handled a situation with quiet strength. You don't gush, you don't flatter, you simply say, "You're calm in the storm." You might as well have struck gold. Why? Because most men aren't used to being seen for their stillness. They're expected to perform, protect, and press on. Rarely are they honored for how they do it. Or maybe he's been showing up consistently, making time, following through. Don't just say thank you, try this instead. "I admire your discipline." That tells him, "I notice not just what you do, but who you are." Even a phrase as simple as, "Your strength makes me feel safe," carries more emotional weight than a dozen compliments about his looks or achievements. Because now you're connecting his presence to impact, and that, to a man of substance, is irresistible. Here's what this isn't. It's not manipulation. It's not about puffing him up or creating dependency. It's about offering emotional recognition without needing anything in return. That's what separates a woman who's seeking attention from one who's creating connection. Now, if you're thinking, but what if he doesn't deserve it yet? What if he hasn't shown those traits? Then you wait, because these words only work when they're anchored in truth. You're not giving out trophies, you're naming what's already there, but maybe unspoken. So this week, play with this. Choose 1 or 2 mental nicknames and use them intentionally. Say it once, then pause. Watch how he breathes. Watch how he looks at you. Because these aren't lines, these are emotional keys. And when said from truth, they unlock the part of him that wants to be a man for you, not just around you. Remember, you're not here to remind him of what the world expects. You're here to reflect who he already is and who he wants to become. That kind of woman doesn't chase. She activates. Next, we're diving even deeper. Not into words this time, but energy. The kind of emotional self-control that gives those words their full power. The ability to remain steady, centered, and wildly attractive, no matter what's happening around you. You've built the fire, you've spoken the truth. Now it's time to master how you hold it. Let's go. Number 4, emotional control, the real power that makes men stay. Let's get one thing straight. No emotionally mature man stays where he constantly feels emotionally dragged. He stays where he feels emotionally invited. That's why this next principle, emotional control, isn't just some soft skill. It's the real power that separates a woman who is temporarily exciting from one who is long-term unforgettable. Napoleon Hill didn't shy away from this truth. He taught that emotional discipline isn't about repression, it's about mastery. In Think and Grow Rich, he wrote, "Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs." And if we add a twist for our topic today, if you don't control your emotions, you cannot control the impact you have. We're not talking about becoming a robot or pretending you don't feel anything. That's not strength, that's shutdown. Real emotional control is grace under fire. It's breathing before reacting. It's the pause before the story you tell yourself runs wild. It's when your heart is racing but your energy says, "I'm still here, I can hold my own ground." Now let's make this real. Imagine something triggers you. He pulls back, says something careless, forgets a small detail. That inner voice flares up. See? He's not that into you. You want to lash out, over-explain, or demand clarity? But then you pause. You center. And instead of reacting, you say nothing. Or better yet, you speak from presence. I'm going to take a little space right now. I want to respond, not react. Boom. That's emotional self-respect. That's power. Or let's flip it. You're in a moment of intimacy. He's sharing something vulnerable. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe he's quiet. Instead of filling the silence with over-talking or insecurity, you just breathe. You hold the energy with softness. And in that stillness, he feels something rare. Safety. Not the kind that coddles him, but the kind that sees him and doesn't try to control the outcome. That's what makes men stay. Because emotional outbursts, especially ones rooted in fear or insecurity, often tell a man, "You are responsible for regulating how I feel." That's pressure. That's not love. Mature men won't run from your feelings, but they will distance themselves from emotional chaos. Not because they're cold, but because they've outgrown the noise. But when you show him, "I've got me. I feel a lot, but I'm not drowning in it. And I don't need you to fix me to love me," he relaxes. He trusts. He shows up. Why? Because now your energy says, "I can hold my own ground. I invite you into it, not pull you into it." Here's a little secret. Most powerful men aren't seeking a woman who'll worship their strength. They're seeking one who mirrors it, who doesn't fall apart when things get tough, who knows how to stand in stormy moments with clarity and kindness. That's not boring, that's rare. So here's your mini practice. Next time you feel triggered, pause. Ask yourself, is this a moment to speak or to hold? And when you do speak, speak with intention, not intensity. Let your calm be the gravity in the room. Because in a world of emotional noise, the woman who remains steady becomes unforgettable. And trust me, the next piece we're about to dive into is what brings all of this together, the magnetism. The law that governs who comes into your life and why. You've built your fire. You've believed in it. You've spoken it. You've learned to hold it. Now, get ready to attract with it. It's time to become the center of gravity in your own life. Let's go. Number 5, the law of attraction, becoming the magnetic center. Let's set the record straight. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And this right here, this mindset shift, is where so many beautiful, brilliant women lose their power. They think, if I want a deep, grounded, emotionally available man, I just need to manifest him. But desire alone isn't enough. You can write lists, visualize, even script it in your journal. But if your energy says, I'm still chasing, then what you'll attract is someone who runs. Napoleon Hill didn't just teach success in business, he taught the spiritual science behind attraction. One of his most direct truths: you must become the person who naturally attracts what you seek. In love, that means if you want someone loyal, present, secure, you must become that for yourself. No shortcuts, no clever tricks, just alignment. Here's the hard but beautiful truth. Want a man of depth. Become a woman who no longer needs attention to feel valuable, because the emotionally rich man you're seeking isn't turned on by drama. He's not sitting around scrolling for someone who's begging to be seen. He's looking for the woman whose presence feels like peace, not because she hides, but because she doesn't chase. She invites. Let me paint you a picture. Think of two women. One is constantly updating her stories, posting the highlight reel of her life, hinting she's unbothered, but she's checking who watched it every 5 minutes. The other is actually living her life, taking care of herself, laughing with friends, building something meaningful. She might not post it. She doesn't need to. Which one do you think a mature man finds magnetic? That second woman. She's the center, not the storm. Hill believed that your dominant vibration, your emotional frequency, as we'd call it now, is what draws people into your orbit, not your hair, your lipstick, or your caption. It's your energy, your lifestyle, your values in action. So instead of asking, how do I get him to notice me? Flip it. Ask, how can I become the woman who effortlessly draws in the kind of man I desire? That question changes everything, because now you're not waiting, you're building. You're not performing, you're radiating. You're not chasing, you're inviting.
And yes, that means you might spend a Friday night alone. You might not get the dopamine hit of a flirty text, but the woman who can sit in her own energy and still feel valuable? She becomes unforgettable.
Want a man to see your worth? Show him that your world doesn't pause for his attention, that your joy isn't rented out to whoever texts back, that your peace, your passion, your rhythm, it's already flowing. He can join or not, either way you're moving. This week, here's your personal task. Stop looking outward for evidence. Start becoming the evidence. Be the woman who glows without needing to be seen. Be the one who knows, if he's aligned, he'll feel me, even in silence. Because when you become the magnetic center of your own life, you stop trying to pull people in. They naturally orbit around you. That's attraction without effort. Power without noise. Feminine energy at full force. And just when you think you've mastered the art of pulling him in, wait until you learn what it really means to bond with him. Next, we uncover the principle that makes him stay, not out of habit, but from something deeper, something that feels like home. Get ready. The mastermind connection is about to begin. Number 6. The mastermind principle. Emotional connection as partnership. This is where real desire moves beyond sparks and starts to build roots. Because while attraction might draw a man to you, partnership is what keeps him close. And this next principle is straight from Napoleon Hill's deepest teachings, the mastermind. In business, it's the alliance between two or more minds that creates exponential power. In love, it's the emotional connection between two souls who choose to grow, not just with each other, but because of each other. Hill said, "No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind." So imagine that, your energy, his energy, and the unique frequency that only exists when you two are aligned. That's not chemistry, that's synergy. It's not about completing each other, it's about amplifying each other. But here's the secret most people miss. A man bonds most deeply to the woman who helps him grow, but doesn't try to fix him. That's not your job. You're not his coach, his therapist, or his mother. If he senses that you're constantly assessing, correcting, or subtly managing him, he'll feel boxed in, not bonded. Because true partnership doesn't say, "Let me help you become better." It says, "I see who you already are, and I'll challenge and celebrate your wholeness."
Let's take this to real life. You're on the phone and he's venting about a work issue. Old pattern, you jump in, offer solutions, or worse, tell him what he should do. But now, from this new space, you listen, you stay present. And when he's done, you say with sincerity, "You've handled harder. I trust you'll figure this out too." That's not fixing, that's faith, that's power.
Or maybe he shares a wild dream, a big vision. You don't ground him with fear. You don't laugh it off. You say, "Your ideas have energy. I love how big you think." Boom. He feels not just heard, but encouraged. And that's the energy that makes a man lean in again and again. The moment you stop trying to be his emotional GPS and start being his emotional witness, he starts to see you differently. He doesn't just desire your body, he respects your presence. He stops viewing you as someone who drains and starts seeing you as someone who multiplies. And look, this doesn't mean you stay silent when something hurts you. This isn't about disappearing behind support. It's about learning the art of sharing without shaming. It's when you say, "That moment felt off for me," instead of, "You always do this." It's when you offer feedback as insight, not as instruction. Here's your new mantra for connection. I don't complete you. I challenge and celebrate your wholeness. That's partnership. That's adult intimacy. That's two souls who understand that love isn't about becoming each other's half. It's about becoming better together without losing your individuality. So if you're wondering, how do I make him stay? The answer is, don't. Make him want to stay by becoming the space where he feels safe enough to grow. You're not his project, you're his partner. That distinction, it's everything. Now here's your next hint. You've laid the foundation. You've become magnetic. You've formed connection. But there's one last layer, the mystery. The art of staying powerful without revealing everything. Of making him lean in again and again, not because you're hiding, but because there's always more of you to discover. And in the next part, you'll learn exactly how to hold that energy. Seduction without strategy, power without effort, mystery without the mask. Get ready. The fun's just beginning. Number 7, mystery and identity. Let him discover you slowly. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood powers in love, mystery. Not the kind that plays games, ghosts him, or acts aloof on purpose. That's immaturity dressed up in effort. We're talking about the kind of mystery that reveals itself slowly, deliberately, with quiet confidence, because you're not here to hide, you're here to be discovered. Napoleon Hill didn't write about relationships the way we do now, but his wisdom fits perfectly. He said, "Deliberate concealment of plans is essential to success." Now apply that to romance. Mystery isn't withholding, it's strategy. Emotionally intelligent men, the ones who have done the work, the ones who don't chase chaos, don't want everything all at once. They want layers, discovery, depth. Why? Because mystery doesn't confuse them, it challenges them. It says, "You don't get to unlock me with surface-level effort. You earn each truth by being present, by being real, by being ready." And this doesn't mean you become distant or cold. It means you allow your identity to unfold in chapters, not in a highlight reel. Instead of feeling pressure to perform your whole personality on the first few dates, you let your story breathe. Let him see your strength, your peace, your passion, one truth at a time. Imagine this. You're having a late-night conversation. He asks, "What's something about you most people don't know?" Instead of launching into a full life history, you smile softly and say, "I'm still learning parts of me too, and I enjoy sharing them." That one line, it's poetry to a conscious man's ears, because it signals openness without neediness, depth without pressure. Here's the thing, emotionally mature men are not impressed by overexposure. They're not scrolling for drama. They've seen fast, they've seen flashy, and they're tired. What they crave is something real, something that takes time to know. A woman who doesn't throw everything at the wall hoping something sticks. A woman who lets him earn her truth. And guess what? Mystery doesn't just serve him, it protects you. It allows you to feel who he is without giving everything up front. It keeps your energy sacred, your soul unhurried. Because a woman who trusts her value doesn't rush to prove it. She lets the connection unfold, knowing that real intimacy takes time, curiosity, and respect. Let's get practical. You don't need to script your mystery, you just need to live from wholeness in progress. Say things like, "I'm figuring that out about myself." "That's a story I'll tell you when the time feels right."
"There's more to me than I show at first."
Not out of fear, out of freedom.
You're not being difficult, you're being deliberate.
Because the woman who is fully known in one night may be desired, but she is rarely remembered. But the woman whose energy unfolds like a novel, whose smile says there's more behind the page, that's the woman he thinks about at night. That's the woman who lingers. So here's your energy moving forward. I am not a puzzle, I am a story. And the right man will want to read slowly, savoring every chapter, every pause, every revelation. Because when mystery is rooted in self-respect, it becomes irresistible. So as we bring it all together, remember this: you don't need to chase love, prove your worth, or perform your identity. You only need to become the woman who knows herself so deeply she radiates what she used to beg for. Real desire isn't found, it's provoked by presence, peace, and purpose. Let him discover you one truth at a time while you stay rooted in your own flame. If this spoke to something inside you, like, subscribe and share this with a woman who needs the reminder, you are the fire. He's just the witness. Let's keep growing together.